my name is Angie. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I am a mom to 4. I love to homeschool. I love to read good books, and I love talking about both of those things on this channel. So today's video, I want to talk more about my plans for reading in August. I don't always follow my TBRs very closely, but I have a couple things I am looking forward to reading this month that I want to share with you. There's definitely one readathon I want to follow, and maybe two, but I'm not sure if the thrillerathon is going on in August like it usually does, and that's totally fine. I might just read some thrillers anyway. So I'm planning on participating in the History Challenge, and that's hosted by Emma over at A Cup of Books, as well as a number of other hosts, and I will link them all below. They have fantastic channels, announcement videos, and different book recommendation videos that you should go check out. Because the readathon, let me say what it's about, it is a history nonfiction readathon, which is just really, really fun. I love nonfiction, and history is one of those things I really enjoy. I mean, I love historical fiction, so historical nonfiction is really what this one's about. And then I have a couple of other books I want to pick up to continue my education in that science and faith topic, and so I'll share those with you as well. So anyway, let me get into it. So the first book I want to try and get to for the History Challenge Readathon is this one. It's called The Fossil Hunter by Shelley Emling, and the subtitle is Dinosaurs, Evolution, and the Woman Whose Discoveries Changed the World. I've been wanting to pick this up for a while. It is about this girl. She's 12 years old, Mary Awning, in 1811. And so this book tells her story, where she discovered dinosaur fossils on the beach. Actually, she's the reason the She Sells Seashells by the Seashore little rhyme came about. It was about her. It tells her story. So she was obviously not a scientist. She was 12 years old, but she was curious about all these things. She also came from a poor background, so she was not nobility. And during the 1800s, a lot of the scientists, or philosophers, I think they called themselves at that time, were rich. So it was more of a hobby than a profession. So there was a lot of obstacles kind of in her way. Her age, her socioeconomic background, her gender, all these things that made it really hard. But she made some amazing discoveries dealing with dinosaurs and different fossils and little fossils from sea creatures and things like that. And I think it tells a story about how some of her discoveries or fossils were taken away from her and others claimed rights to the discovery. But this has kind of come full circle to tell her story. So it sounds really good. And that covers a number of prompts. I think they have like a bingo board for this one. Ancient history, memoir, biography, woman author, just to name a few. And the second book has yet to come in from my library, but it should be soon. The book is And the Band Plays On. I think it's called Politics, People, and the AIDS Epidemic. And so this just sounds really interesting. I highlighted this book a long time ago when I did books I recommended about infectious disease. Because again, that's my background. I have a PhD in microbiology, so I find these subjects really interesting. And so with this one, it covers prompts like microhistory, history of a social issue, revisiting a school subject, like I just said. And so this is really about the AIDS epidemic in the US from when it started in the late 70s, early 80s, and all the people involved in it. And so the author draws attention to how the government handled things, how they put like budgets and money over the health of its citizens, how different scientists put prestige and like being the first person to figure things out over the life of these people that had contracted HIV earlier in the epidemic. And so it just sounds fascinating. I don't think it tackles Africa per se, but I think it is more US driven, but it sounds really good. And I don't know if it's partly because of what's going on right now and just how complex these things are, how many different moving parts there are for the people in power to make good decisions and the scientists to figure out what to do. And so it just felt like a very timely book about a different microorganism, a different epidemic, but very interesting. So I want to pick that book up and learn more about that. And then the other two I had set aside to read for kind of thrillerathon, and I don't think that's going to go on, but I'm not sure. If it does, I'll hop on. If it doesn't, I'm going to read these anyway because I kind of saved this one for August for that reason, and that's Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. I've talked a lot about this in a lot of my videos lately, so I will try not to talk more, but I really enjoyed Lock Every Door by Riley Sager. I read earlier in the summer, and so this looks great. It's about a girl who grew up in this house that was haunted, that there were ghosts there, and her family kind of had to flee in the middle of the night to get away from the ghosts, and they never went back. Her dad wrote a book about the experience, and then her parents pass away, gift her the house, and then she goes back and she fixes it up because that's the profession she is in fixer-uppers. And she's like, I'm not scared. I'm going to figure out what's going on. I'm going to even stay there. That's how not scared I am. And then I think it gets scary. So I'm looking forward to that. I've heard nothing but good things, so I'm really excited. So I will pick it up in August because I was holding on to it. But it's okay. I'll read it regardless if there is a thriller-a-thon or not. So the other book I had set aside for August was a Gillian Flynn book. So I just picked this one up, Sharp Objects, and it just sounds really good. I have read Gone Girl and I liked it. Gillian Flynn definitely has a psychological thriller bent to a lot of her books, so I expect that from this book. It's fairly small, but it is about this girl who becomes a reporter, and then she is sent back to her hometown to report on, I believe, the murder of some teenage girls, preteen girls. She goes and lives in her old house with her mom and her stepsister, and I think there's some weird relationships there. And then the investigation kind of draws her back into her past, to what I understand. But it sounds really good. And when I mentioned this in my last book haul video, I had a number of people say that they think I will really like it. So I'm excited to pick it up. Okay, as for books for digging more into science and faith, I'm considering picking up a Hugh Ross book. I didn't bring any over with me. But before I do, my brother-in-law actually sent me this article from BioLogos, from the BioLogos website, and it's called The Human Fossil Record by James Kidder, and I can link it below because it is a PDF if anybody's interested. And it just goes through the fossil record and what's known, because I think I have that question all the time where I'm like, well, we see the pictures and the diagrams, and I just don't know how many skeletons, were they partial skeletons? Do we have thousands of them? I just don't know. So I wanted to read more about that, especially since I'm also prepping for a prehistory unit, and I want to talk more about early humans and cavemen and things like that. And so I want to have a good handle on what's known scientifically in the scientific community. And so a while ago, I also did pick up this big DK book. It's called Evolution, the Human Story, 2nd edition by Alice Roberts. And I like DK books. I usually pick them up for kids. But why I picked it up is I can be a very visual learner, and these things, like we're talking about skulls and comparing different skulls and length of femurs and different things like that, and I just wanted some pictures. And science articles are not the best at pictures, so I just thought this would be a pretty good start. It would be a fun way to look at some of these things, some of these findings and discoveries, to have a good picture of them as well as reading that article. So that's my next avenue of interest in my education of science and faith. So please let me know if you have any thoughts on that, or if you have any other recommendations in that little realm that I'm trying to learn about this month. So anyway, that is what I have. Those are my plans. I have not been reading that many books this summer. I thought I would, but in all honesty, it doesn't make much sense because the summer is my prep for homeschool. And once I get it all prepped, then it is more smooth sailing through the school year, which I can read more. But I did a ton of prep and homeschool stuff this summer, and so I just did not get a lot read. And so I don't want to put more on my TBR than is honestly what I can read. And I've been reading more about like 3 to 4 books as opposed to like 5 to 6 books, which is what I was reading more. Which I know those are small numbers compared to a lot of booktubers, but that's just me. And I love to read, and I will read what I can with the life that I have currently. So thank you for stopping by and seeing what my plans are for August. Those are my plans. Let me know if you've read any of them, and please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel if you like what you see. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video. So have a wonderful day. Take care.